Hello, my name is Nina Jankowicz. I'm a global fellow here at the Wilson Center, and today we're going to be talking about Russian disinformation regarding the military buildup around Ukraine. Well, disinformation is part of the toolkit that Russia is using to attempt to justify a military buildup around Ukraine and a potential invasion coming down the pike. So we've seen a couple of main narratives, including allegations that Ukraine is run by Nazis, that NATO wants war in Ukraine, or that the US military and energy industrial complexes are the ones who are egging for war, not Russia. And the facts on the ground are that Russia, of course, was the instigator of this conflict. So in 2014, we saw a lot more inauthentic amplifiers that would be trolls and bots on the Russian side attempting to spread false narratives about Ukraine and the conflict in Ukraine. Now we're seeing a lot more top-down control of narratives. So narratives being seeded among Kremlin officials and then being shared through Russian state media, as well as Kremlin-aligned media in the West or different influencers in the West. It's a lot less of the troll and bot scenario. The social media platforms have gotten pretty good at detecting them, and a lot more coming from actual influencers and being shared organically around social media, whether that's on platforms like TikTok, we're seeing a lot of propaganda, certainly, or on closed platforms like Telegram. So recently we saw the United States declassifying operations or intelligence that claimed that Russia was planning to sow a false flag attack to have a pretext for its invasion of Ukraine. By airing that intelligence, by declassifying it and telling it to the United States, its people and the media, what the United States and its allies are hoping to do is really take the wind out of the sails of the Russian Federation and any other propaganda or disinformation that they might attempt to sow. And I think this has been a really good strategy so far. It is educating people about what Russia is up to, but also putting people on guard and saying, think a little bit when you're getting information about the Ukraine conflict, think about where it might be coming from and why you might be being manipulated. I think what Putin wants in this scenario is to maintain his sphere of influence in Central and Eastern Europe. He has always been extremely against former members of the Soviet Union or members of the Warsaw Pact joining NATO, joining the European Union. And by creating and maintaining frozen conflicts like what we see in Ukraine, Moldova, or Georgia, he's able to guarantee that those states then won't be able to become members of NATO or of the European Union. So NATO, given its Article 5 obligations, which mean that an attack on one NATO member is an attack on all, won't admit members that have an active military conflict. And that would include some of the conflicts we've seen in countries like Ukraine, Moldova, and Georgia, where there have been active military conflicts or border discrepancies between Russia and that particular country that's seeking NATO accession. So until those border issues are resolved, and those countries have full control over their sovereign territory, it is highly unlikely, if not impossible, for them to join NATO or the European Union.